say anything. Yes, I've got a pretty gnarly sunburn at the moment. That's pretty bad on that side. Had a on-location video shoot today for work. I was out at the beach for 2 hours. I was out on a boat for about an hour, hour and a half. And even though I did have some sunscreen on, I obviously wasn't wearing enough, didn't reapply it well enough, something, I don't know, but thankfully it's not too bad. I mean, it's not good, but it's not like 2nd degree or 3rd degree burns bad. But I'm telling you, man, this Australian sun is really no joke. It is, it's not great. Like, I think back, when I was a teenager, there were a couple summers that we would take family vacations to Mexico, and my mom would just lie out in the sun, tanning for hours and hours and hours. And I was like, man, you cannot do that here. I don't know if it's because the ozone is thinner, whatever it is they say is the reason, but it feels like you burn quicker here. I don't know what it is, but yeah, so my sunburn aside, let's get into our weekly games. Okay. Now, I watched one fewer game this week than I typically would, just because I've been like super busy this week. Unfortunately, my apologies for that. Also, finally got my Penrith Panthers premieres 4 in a row jersey. Super slick. Big fan of this. My very first rugby jersey. Okay, so let's start off looking at the games that I watched. Let's talk about the first one. Also, just looking at it, doing a quick glance, I got a lot wrong this week. A lot wrong. But I also feel like there were a lot of upsets this week. Ravens versus Browns is the first game I want to talk about. This is one that I got wrong. So when I was doing my predictions in this game, I said, I think basically verbatim, I said that the Browns would be better with Jameis Winston at quarterback instead of Deshaun Watson. But I was hesitant on how much better they would be. It was shocking how much better this Browns team looked. Now obviously they get the win here, 29-24, in their favor. But even outside of that, the team overall just looked better. There was this moment in the first quarter. It was the opening drive for the Baltimore Ravens. And they were kind of just marching down the field. And there was a moment, it was 4th down and goal. It was 4th and goal. Might have been 4th and 1, but they were in the red zone. And there's a rush with Derrick Henry. And the Cleveland Browns stuff the run. They stop him, turnover on downs. And then they field goal. They get the first points on the board of the game. And then Justin Tucker answers the field goal. We have another field goal. But there's just sort of these back and forths. And it felt like there's that Aguilar touchdown that happened right before halftime. And I was like, okay, maybe the Ravens are going to run away with it now. Then the Browns came back out in the second half. They answered the touchdown of their own. So I was like, man, it just felt like the defense was playing better, the offense was playing better. And it was interesting to watch Jameis Winston and how he played compared not only to Deshaun Watson but Lamar Jackson this game. As you saw, Lamar Jackson this game was doing a lot of scrambling, running, moving out of the pocket. Obviously, his legs are his strength. But Deshaun Watson was doing a lot of scrambling, moving around as well. But watching Jameis Winston in this game, he was very composed and just doing a lot of standing in the pocket, climbing the ladder in the pocket. 1-2 steps, get the ball out. 1-2 steps, get the ball out. Like he was fundamental, quarterbacking. And he was making some passes. Not only that Deshaun Watson hadn't been making, but passes that I feel like Jameis Winston usually hasn't been making. He was hitting some really tight windows, throwing into some pretty tough spots. And he was hitting his spots. Ravens have that Derrick Henry rush to take the lead. The Browns were leading, and then they actually have the Ravens hemmed back pretty far in their own end. Lamar Jackson is kind of scrambling around a bit. He gets them out of it. Derrick Henry gets the rush. They get the touchdown. Ravens go up. Just under 3 minutes left, and I was like, okay, the Browns put up a good effort, but the Ravens were just too much to overcome, even with their mistakes. I can't remember who it was, but there was a pass Lamar threw to one guy, and it hit him in the helmet and fell off. I think the helmet or his chest or something. The Ravens were having a comedy of errors at certain points in this game. But going into the final stretch, they take the lead. So I was like, good effort, but they overcame the mistakes. They were just too good. Jameis Winston comes out and leads the most composed 2-minute drill I've seen in a hot minute. Browns take the lead. They win this one. I was a little bit shocked. Jameis Winston played phenomenally in this game. Browns get their second win of the season. They're still bottom of the AFC North. Ravens fall to second in the AFC North. It's their first loss for Baltimore since week 2. I think that the hole might be too big for the Cleveland Browns to dig themselves out of at this point, unfortunately for them. But this was a really, really good game from that team, especially Jameis Winston. Lamar Jackson, 23 completions on 38 attempts, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Jameis Winston, 27 completions on 41 attempts, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Another game I was wrong about. Most of these I watched this week, if maybe not all of them, were games that I was wrong about. Bears versus Commanders. Now I predicted the Bears here. Commanders won this one. And there were a number of things that were different than I expected them to be. Going up to this week, I felt like week over week, Caleb Williams had looked like he had made improvements week over week, getting more comfortable. His offense was looking better. Caleb Williams in this game reminded me of week 1, week 2. Caleb Williams felt like he was being carried by the defense in this game. Now, Jaden Daniels, he was dealing with a supposed rib injury in this one. Coming into this game last week, he had some rib injury. It didn't really seem to hold him back in this game, especially at the end. Yeah. Obviously, the famous, I guess sort of infamous, if you're a Bears fan, play from this game is the Hail Mary at the end of the game with 0 seconds on the clock. I'm seeing some people like saying it's I saw this clip on the Pat McAfee show saying it's one of the most embarrassing plays in NFL history for the Bears defense. I don't know. I don't think that highly. Like, I'm not a deep tactical thinker with regards to football. I don't understand the game at that level, but personally I don't see some big defensive terrible issue happening. In my mind, it's more of just a very good offensive play, honestly a very fluky offensive play. Like, credit to Jaden Daniels getting himself open, getting the pass out that deep, especially if he did have some pain on his ribs or something, but I'm not sure the defense could have done anything different if the ball didn't pop up and back to the receiver. It would have been a dead play and the Bears would have won. But as a big, somebody who has become over the course of this season a very big Jaden Daniels fan, that's a very exciting play. 52-yard passing play down there, Hail Mary. Commanders 6-2-0. They are the number 1 seed, the NFC East now. Overall, it wasn't a very exciting game. Very defense heavy both ways. Jaden Daniels, he had a lot of yardage in this game, but only the one touchdown. He was more just kind of repeatedly getting his team down into field goal territory. And yeah, a bit of a step back from Caleb Williams in the game this week. But 10 completions on 24 attempts for Caleb Williams, 131 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. Jaden Daniels 10 completions on 38 attempts, 326 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. And right now he's my favorite of the rookie quarterbacks. I think he's performing at the highest level of the rookie quarterbacks at the moment. That's not to say that that'll be true for their entire careers, but I think at least for this season, Jaden Daniels will probably be the, statistically at least, best of the rookie quarterbacks. I thought this game was a big opportunity for Caleb to kind of show, like, this is why I went number 1, like, I'm better than that guy, and I thought he was going to do that, honestly. That's why I picked the Bears. But I feel like, I don't know, I thought that maybe he'd come into this game a little bit angry or a little bit more determined to, like, cement himself, but I guess, it just didn't happen that way. The other one that I watched a bit of, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched Colts Texans. I took the Texans here, so I did end up getting that right. But obviously the big one here is going to be Anthony Richardson taking himself out. When I was watching this live, I thought maybe he got hurt. Maybe it was like a non-contact injury or like an impingement or something. But then come to find out, he was like struggling to catch his breath, and I deal with general anxiety disorder. I've had panic attacks to the point where I had to go to the hospital because I thought I was having a heart attack. I've experienced that sensation, that shortness of breath. I'm not saying that is exactly what happened with him. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Fatigue, whatever else it was. But obviously it's not a great look for a young quarterback who has been struggling statistically. In many categories, he's been one of, if not the worst, starting quarterback in the NFL. And, I talk week in, week out. I've told you many times I'm a big Anthony Richardson fan. I have high hopes for the kid, but it's things like this that are gonna make people turn against you, and I hope it doesn't turn to like a Markelle Fultz type situation, I guess, although I think Markelle Fultz did have some actual serious injuries and issues. It's just really unfortunate, and hopefully it doesn't become a recurring thing. Because I think this is only his 8th, 9th NFL game he's ever played in his career. Richardson. So he's obviously not a finished product, but he is a guy who's struggling, and he's a guy who there definitely is an impetus for him to have to earn his spot on a roster, and things like this might make it harder for him to do that. But I was honestly kind of shocked this game was as close as it was. This is only a 3-point win for the Houston Texans. And they've been having some of these recently, these games that are honestly like a lot closer than I feel like they should be. I don't know. I don't know how it affects how I think of them, or how I think they may or may not perform in the postseason, but it's just like for me to make a note of, I suppose. Richardson has 10 completions on 32 attempts, 175 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. CJ Stroud, 25 completions on 37 attempts, 285 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Okay, Vikings versus Rams. I'll talk about this next. I picked the Vikings to win this one, and they did not. They lose 30-20 to the Los Angeles Rams, and the Minnesota Vikings, who were at 1 point this season undefeated, get their second loss in 3 weeks. No, they've now lost back-to-back games. I thought there was a week in between. They get their second loss in a row, and they fall to 3rd in the NFC North. Just shows how brutal that division is. So it's going to be interesting. Coming into this season, I was like, I feel like Minnesota's going to struggle. Then they came out to that hot start. Kind of proved me wrong. But now all of a sudden, those struggles are starting to happen that I was worried about. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of their season plays out. And evaluating this team going forward, what that looks like. Now, for Los Angeles, Cooper Kupp came back. I thought he was going to end up being more limited as far as snaps and things go than he was. Especially with all the rumors about them potentially trading him. And then Puka ended up coming back this week as well, which I was not aware of coming into this game. And both of them had big impacts. I think Puka had like 130 yards, something like that. Kupp had a touchdown. But yeah, the rumors, coming into this week were not only were they shopping Cooper Kupp for a 2nd round pick, but that they're also considering trading Matthew Stafford. Now, I don't know how true any of these rumors are, but that was just kind of in the back of my mind coming into this game. Sam Darnold has 18 completions on 25 attempts, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Matthew Stafford, 25 completions on 34 attempts, 279 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and the game ending on a Sam Darnold safety to give the extra 2 points to the Rams to put the touchdown plus 2-point conversion to tie and send the game to overtime out of reach. I know that there are some complaints from Minnesota fans about a missed face mask or something like that, but it's a moot point. It's going to be interesting because I remember a few weeks back I talked about comeback player of the year being between Sam Darnold and Justin Fields. Now, Justin Fields has obviously been benched, so I reckon he's out of that conversation now. But if Sam Darnold and the Vikings continue to struggle, maybe if they end at 500 or around 500, is he still seemingly the lock that so many people thought he was? That'll be an interesting award to kind of keep an eye on. Now we have the Packers versus the Jaguars. I did predict the Packers to get the win here. They do. Unfortunately, Jordan Love leaves the game early. I think it was the third quarter with a groin injury. Now they said that they've done an MRI, everything looks okay, but this is now his second injury so far this season. He had one. He missed a few games earlier in the year. And now Malik Willis, really good as Malik Willis comes in. He gets not only the touchdown, but he gets them into field goal range for the game-winning field goal. So the team is winning, even with Malik Willis out on the field, which also happened last time Jordan Love went down. But just hopefully this isn't going to continue to be an issue for him and the Packers going forward. So 30-27 is your final score in favor of the Packers. Malik Willis has 4 completions on 5 attempts, 56 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 picks. Trevor Lawrence has 21 completions on 32 attempts, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Trevor Lawrence also has a rushing touchdown. Quickly, just because it doesn't tell me here, it only tells me the stats of the quarterback who finished the game. But Jordan Love had 14 completions on 22 attempts, 196 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Now we have Titans-Lions. I picked the Lions here. Someone pointed out, they kind of laughed about the fact that I said that I didn't really have to explain my decision-making process there. And I think the result of this game shows why I didn't have to explain myself too much. 52 points for the Detroit Lions, 14 points for the Tennessee Titans. Mason Rudolph has 22 completions on 38 attempts, 266 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown, 2 interceptions. Jared Goff, who goofed all over the Titans, 12 completions on 15 attempts, only had to throw the ball 15 times in this game, which is crazy. 3 touchdowns. The fact that you have 12 completions, 3 touchdowns, only 85 passing yards, fewer than 100 passing yards, and they still win this game, that is crazy to me. Especially because, the Titans almost doubled up their total yardage. The Titans had 416 yards in this game, compared to 225 yards from Detroit, and they lost by 38 points. That is to be one of the biggest disparities Jaguars. I picked the Falcons here, especially, with all of the recent, just brutal injuries for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, really coming at the worst time for them. And the Falcons did get the win, although the Buccaneers kept it closer than I kind of assumed they would, given their circumstances. Like, their leading receiver was Cade Otton. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the most hardcore NFL fan, even though I do videos a week talking about it, but on my hierarchy of sports, it's between 3rd and 5th, depending on what mood I'm in. I've never heard of Cade Otton before, and I think many of you will also have not heard of him, or be lying if you tell me that you have. But 31-26 in favor of the Falcons is your final score. Kirk Cousins has 23 completions on 29 attempts, 276 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks. It's just a nice Kirk Cousins game right there. Only missed 6 passes. That's wild. That's why I love me some Kirk Cousins, baby. Baker Mayfield, 37 completions on 50 attempts, 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Okay. Buckle up for this next one. I think that I said all that need to be said about the Jets last week. Like I said, this team has been tailor-made the way Aaron Rodgers wanted to be made. It has been rebuilt from the ground up to fit him, his wants, his play style, and they're still not winning games. I thought this would be a get-right game for them. I thought that this Patriots team, surely this defense, and the thing is, this defense did. Drake May only threw for 23 yards in this game. Drake May threw the ball 6 times, completed 3 passes for 23 yards, and somehow the New England Patriots won this game. The New England Patriots won this game. Drake May scrambled for more yards than he passed for. Drake May, not Lamar Jackson. Drake May. This New York Jets team is cooked. They're done. Blow this team up. Get rid of Aaron Rodgers. Send Devontae. Like, this team is done. They're done. They're done. They lost this Patriots team. I don't even know how to explain to you. I don't even know how to explain to you how absurd it is that the New York Jets lost this game. Do you remember how we were talking about this Jets team the year they got Aaron Rodgers? Before he got hurt. Do you remember? Leading into that week 1, that preseason, talking about how dangerous that team was going to be. And then, look at where they are now. Aaron Rodgers has 17 completions on 20 attempts, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. At least he didn't throw an interception this week. That's new for him. Drake May, 3 completions on 6 attempts, 23 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Now, Jacoby Brissett did come into this game at one point, but still, Drake May, I think, got hurt. I don't think it's anything serious. He had a concussion. Yeah. concussion. Jacoby finished the game. He led a scoring drive there at the end, which results in a Ramondre Stevenson rushing touchdown. That was all Jacoby, but man, this Jets team. Cardinals and Dolphins. This was Tua's first game back from injury. I picked the Cardinals here because I just wasn't 100% confident that he'd have a good game his first outing back. Cardinals win this one by a single point. Miami was a 4.5 point favorite. I feel like this game probably busted a lot of people's parlays. Cardinals win at 28-27. Kyler Murray, 26 for 36, 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Tua Tagovailoa, 28 completions on 38 attempts, 234 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. I saw this pretty funny TikTok mentioning game. And it was like Dolphins fans, well, every time Tua scrambles his first game back, and it was like a clip of Tua scrambling and like rushing, and it was just someone like slide, just screaming slide at the TV screen. Eagles, Bengals. The Bengals were actually a 2.5 point favorite coming into this. Bengals were. Vegas thought Bengals were going to win this one. I don't know why though, I just sort of had this feeling that I thought the Eagles were going to get the win here over this Bengals team. I knew the Bengals were the favorite, but I just had a feeling about it. And the Eagles do get the win, 37-17. They blew them out by 20 points. Jalen Hurts had 3 rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown. Probably, the season's all kind of blend together a little bit, but maybe his best performance of the season. Maybe his second best. I feel like he had did he have a 4 passing touchdown game this year? Or was that last year? I don't know if I'm thinking of earlier this year, him having a 4 passing touchdown game. I think this was his second best performance of the year, but if that wasn't this year, then this was a very good performance, especially against, who should be a high quality opponent in the Bengals. And as the underdogs, Jalen Hurts, 16 completions on 20 attempts, 236 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 3 rushing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Joe Burrow, 26 completions on 37 attempts, 234 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Interestingly, is this the first game this season that Saquon played and didn't get a touchdown? I don't know, I haven't been keeping stats, or paying attention to those stats, but I just feel like every week I see the Eagles play, Saquon has a touchdown, but this week he didn't. So, part of me feels like that might be true, but I don't. That's just a gut feeling. Saints, Chargers. I picked the Chargers here, especially with Spencer Rattler still starting for New Orleans. And the Chargers win this in a blowout, 26-8. Justin Herbert has 20 completions on 32 attempts, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Spencer Rattler has 12 completions on 24 attempts, 156 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Bills, Seahawks. I didn't even watch this game. I knew that the Bills were going to kill my Seahawks this week. I have no faith in the Seahawks team at the moment. Unfortunately, they've just let me down repeatedly this season. Although, we did force Josh Allen to throw his very first interception of this season, which I didn't realize he hadn't thrown any this season yet until an announcer point out in this game that it was his first interception of the season. Which is funny because Josh Allen has this sort of reputation of being like a Brett Favre gunslinger type who throws a lot of picks. But even though they won the game, we forced him to throw his first interceptions. I'll take the moral victory. They can take the actual victory. 31-10 in favor of the Bills. Just an overall very embarrassing performance from the Seahawks. Honestly, very, very bad game from us. Josh Allen, 24 completions on 34 attempts, 283 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Geno Smith, 21 completions on 29 attempts, 212 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. Chiefs versus Raiders. I picked the Chiefs to win here, especially with some of the bad blood between these two teams. The Chiefs do get the win, and I actually did way better this week than I thought I would. I guess it's sort of just the games I paid the most attention to or the ones I realized I got wrong. But this game actually wasn't like as chippy as I thought it was going to be, at least from what I could tell. Maybe I'm missing something big that happened, I don't know, but I thought this game was going to be a lot chippier, more issues. This was a big game for Travis Kelce, though he's been kind of quiet this season, but he popped off this game, which is going to be interesting to see if he carries that to the rest of the season, or if this is, we'll see. But 27-20 in favor of the Chiefs. They remain your only undefeated team in the NFL, 7-0. Patrick Mahomes, 27 completions on 38 attempts, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Gardner Minshew, 24 completions on 30 attempts, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. So let's talk about this Panthers game a little bit, because we have a very interesting situation that happens here. Andy Dalton has an issue. I think he got into a car accident or something, and he hurts his hand. He's unable to play. Now Bryce Young got benched after week 2 of the regular season. We all, kind of know what happened there. There's been talk like, is he going to get traded at the deadline? Whatever. Talking. A lot of people, myself included, I said that Bryce Young would never play another snap for the Carolina Panthers. After week 2, I thought either they would trade him. Well, I didn't think they'd trade him at the deadline. I thought they'd trade him in the offseason, personally. But it just felt like I said on this channel, he'll never play another snap. Well, me, L, Dunscap, Bryce Young goes ahead and plays this game with Andy Dalton inactive. And he throws a touchdown pass to Xavier Legette, and he has another touchdown pass to Jalen Coker at the end of the game. So he throws 2 touchdowns this game, but he also throws 2 interceptions. So it's also, I think it's the first time in his entire career that he threw a touchdown on the very first offensive drive of a game. Now the Panthers still lose this game. I predicted the Broncos to win. But it's going to be interesting to see, because Bryce Young is 2-17 now through his first 19 career starts. The worst record, I think, since like 2001 or something like that for a first round or a first overall QB, something like that. And the Canales said that, or he didn't say rather, who the starter was going to be next week. So it seems like if Dalton's healthy enough to start, they might go back to Dalton. But then Bryce Young didn't really have a terrible game. He didn't have a good game. But so it's like, well, it's a very up in the air situation. I still think the best thing for the Panthers just feels like the relationship is too messed up between him, the front office, the fan base, coaching, like all of it. Trade him, get a pick, go back to the drawing board. It just feels like it's done. I don't know, that's my read on it. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens next week and beyond. Something to keep an eye on. But the Broncos do win this game 28-14. Bryce Young, 24 completions on 37 attempts, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Bo Nix, 28 completions on 37 attempts, 284 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Cowboys and Niners. I picked the Cowboys to win here. Not because I thought the Cowboys were so much better, but the Niners are dealing with so many injuries, especially at their receiver positions. Basically, all of their wide receivers are out. Christian McCaffrey remains out, so I was like, I just didn't see how they'd win this game. I kind of forgot that the Cowboys are the Cowboys, and they're gonna do Cowboys things. The Niners win this one 30-24, and what has to be one of the most embarrassing losses for the Cowboys in a long time. They should not have lost this game. Like I said, their best 4 wide receivers are all in the hospital, and you lose the game. It's not like they beat you on defense. Like it wasn't like it was like, oh, they won 14-10 or something, and it was the strength of their defense. It was 30-24. Like, you let them put up 30 on you with their 4 best wide receivers in the hospital, and it's not like their defense completely shut you down. You put up 24 points. You just lost. Dak Prescott, 25 for 38, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Brock Purdy, 18 for 26, 260 yards, 1 passing touchdown. That's something you don't see that often, a rushing touchdown from Mr. Purdy, who threw 0 interceptions. And finally, the Giants versus Steelers. I picked the Steelers, and they did get the win. And it continues to blow my mind that this Giants team, of all teams, blew out the Seattle Seahawks. How did my Seattle Seahawks lose to this team? This Giants team is terrible. Daniel Jones is terrible. This Giants team is terrible, and somehow they beat us. But I will say I am so happy for Russell Wilson. I'm not going to lie, when he had those bad Denver years, because of the way in which he left the Seattle situation, I had a little bit of Schadenfreude, don't I say it, about his struggles there. But then it was kind of getting sad, and I was like, come on, you can do better now, Russ, and I'm happy for him. And for Steelers fans, he's performing as well as he did. He's got that deep ball back that he did not have in Denver. He had it last week. He got that deep ball. That's what kind of woke him up last week. He got it again this week. I think on the pass to Calvin Austin. But it's really nice to see Russell Wilson get that groove back, and the Steelers are 6-2. And this Steelers team, given the way the league is at the moment, right, I don't feel like there's truly a dominant team. Like I said last week, the Ravens have been my Super Bowl favorites for the last 2 weeks, but they just lost to the Browns. And the league at the moment, it really does feel like even the teams that are at the very top, they could lose. And this Steelers team could very well be in the mix. I don't think that's crazy, and I didn't think I would have been saying that, earlier in the season, coming of the preseason, but the Steelers team looks legit. They're 6-2. Who do they have next? The Commanders. I expect them to win that. Do they have any, like... Okay, yeah, they have Baltimore on the 17th. And they have Kansas City on Christmas. I'm gonna say this right now. Okay, this is my prediction. Lock this in. Lock this in. If the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they have to do both of these, if they beat Baltimore on November 17th or December 21st, they play them 2 games. If they win either of those 2 games, and they also beat the Chiefs on Christmas, they're winning the Super Bowl. Because I'll tell you this, this is actually a brutal schedule. The Pittsburgh Steelers play the Philadelphia Eagles on the 15th in Philly. Then they go to Baltimore, another road game on the 21st to play Baltimore. Then 4 days later, they're back in Pittsburgh to play the Chiefs. So I think if they beat the Chiefs off of only 3 days rest and they win one of those 2 Baltimore games, I think they win the Super Bowl. That is my prediction right now if that happens. Okay, so this week there were 16 games and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of them correct, which gives me a percentage of 11 divided by 16. 69%. We round here on this channel. So 61 plus 11 is 72. 107 plus 16, 117, 123. So let's do the math again. 72 divided by 123. And we have jumped up to 59%. One more good week like this and we can be getting into the 60s for the season. Anyway guys, thank you so very much for watching. Go Panthers. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. And until next time guys, bye bye.